What is the worst thing that you've seen a coworker do and still avoid being fired? Accidentally send the last 3 years of account details back statements from one company to their direct competitor. A guy at the plant I work at scrapped $360,000 in airplane parts because he didn't even bother to look at the work instructions. He just drives a forklift now. Worked with a guy who punctured the main gas line to our shop 3 separate times. It was a construction company and he somehow was still my superintendent, although he could have blown up the shop. Worst coworker ever was the credit mooch. He would constantly horn in on other people's projects, getting his name added to them to make it look like he was doing shit when he actually not. If people tried to assign him any work on said project, he would have a personal emergency, or a virus would make him lose all his work, or his schedule is booked with other project, or the worst, he would pull some sucker in to help him with it, and said sucker would end up doing it all in utter frustration. Because he was so good at stealing credit, he managed to get top marks on his reviews despite doing absolutely zero actual work for the company. I know at least 4 people quit due to this guy getting better raises than they did. Far as I know, they never actually got rid of Hi Monsieur. Stole a bunch of Mark tools. They were painted white. Showed everyone in the shop pictures of his deer with said tools in the background. Gets reported. Boss calls him on it. He said, "You got me. I stole a gallon of white paint." Never heard the boss laughing so hard. Year later or so he gets promoted lol. Had a coworker as a standard business practice falsely condemn furnaces in winter to pressure homeowners into buying new systems and pad his commission check. I couldn't do anything as I had no direct proof, but he would joke about it all the time. It did finally catch up with him when one customer smelled BS and called other companies with advanced testing machines, took those results and sued the poop out of Hi Monsieur. I ended up working for that second company and haven't looked back. After already being disciplined and essentially demoted for doing his job terribly, my coworker drunk texted all of our managers in the middle of the night asking why they didn't love Hi Monsieur. It's been about 2 weeks and I haven't seen him since. But he's not gone. Not the worst thing he could have done, but I cringed thinking about it. Got caught with CP on his work computer. Had access to the net taken away but wasn't fired, as it's possible he didn't know it was real CP. Edit. Just to clarify a few things. 1. This was about 15 years ago at a public institution in Canada. 2. CP is child P***RN. 3. Upper management was terrible in so many ways. 4. I talked to a friend who was in the RCMP. She said to me reporting him would lead to the institution lawyering up and an internal investigation would happen. That's all because likely upper management erased the HD and left no paper trail. See number 3. 5. He used Kazaa, an ancient P2P. Had a boss storing pictures of himself in only his wide-open bathrobe on company servers. It was reported to HR but wasn't fired for it. Later he was arrested as part of an undercover sting where he thought he was meeting a 15-year-old girl about 500 miles away. Way too many questions, comments to reply to all of them. Monsieur more details. The images were stored in a shared folder used by a few employees. The guy was our IT manager, so he should have known better than storing them there. Assuming the pictures were taken using a work camera because digital cameras were very expensive at that time and the company had a few. Before he left for the weekend to meet the girl, he had asked to use the digital camcorder I had for work. He told me he needed it to make a video of his home possessions for insurance purposes, but I was suspicious of that, so I told him I needed it for work. We found out he was arrested when he called the computer room collect from jail. This was later in the evening when he no-showed for work that day. We didn't accept the charges but called back later to see what he was charged with. At that time we were told solicitation of a minor, but the whole details came out later when he was on the local news station. For the ones that doubt the story, https arrestfacts.com/ricky-gutzmer-1t2k7. This dude walks a server out of the server room every 6 months or so to sell on eBay. We have literally no security except the front door. But the owner is so ancient and out of touch I doubt she even remembers things are being stolen. He tried to run over a security officer with his car when the security officer told him he couldn't park where he wanted to park. Almost succeeded. 2. Guy at my wife's old job was brought in because he was really good at selling the services they provided. Proceeded to send dick pics to the women at work and solicit nudes from the monsieur. Women said to stop or they'd take it up with management, and it subsided some. Solicited nudes from a new chick who asked my wife about it, and my wife went to management with everything and said, "This guy's out or I'm quitting." Well, she quit. Guy's still there, but most the original female staff has quit. As an assistant manager at a Valvoline instant oil change, I was dealing with an unreasonable customer that had just spit at a female employee that he didn't want working on his car. He didn't know that the guy under his car was her boyfriend. The guy comes up the steps, grabs an oil gun, and starts pumping 10W30 all climate into the guy's window as he's frantically trying to start the car and roll up the window. The employee was reprimanded pretty hard, but it was understood why he did it. No charges were filed. The franchise owner paid a lot of money to have the guy's car cleaned. Obviously, I never saw him again. Edit. I never saw the customer again. If I remember correctly, the employee was suspended for a week. Edit number 2. I'm very sorry that I misspoke. I was an assistant to the manager. I know someone who managed to close an entire supermarket early for the first time in its history, costing the company several thousands of pounds, because they tried to set a clock on a computer back an hour to avoid missing some deadline for a daily routine. He said it seemed such a good idea at the time. Nothing. Documenting work is completed when no actual work had been done. Management knew or was suspicious of it, but not so much as a write-up or reprimand. Eventually, management changed, figured out no work was being done, called it fraud, and canned the monsieur. The job was easy too, and good money. I don't get why they didn't just do the work. Oh man, it was winter time and she was helping a customer by carrying something they had purchased out for the monsieur once outside, but still on the store property. She slipped and sustained an injury, was threatening to sue the business, and was also trying to claim workers' compensation. Came into work every day with a sling on her arm and constantly wincing and being in pain. Anyways, HR and the store manager call her into a meeting, sit her down and show her the video surveillance from outside, which she obviously didn't know was there, showing her faking her fall. I don't know everything, but she got called out hard and she broke down and admitted everything. For some reason they kept her on. She then tried it again like 6 months later, this time claiming that a customer had something from their card hit or fall on her or something. Again, tried to claim workers' comp and had this whole show of being injured. They pull up security footage again and disprove her injury, claim she still wasn't fired. Blew my mind lol. HR rep found out about a person's elective surgery and made fun of her with a former employee. Let me recap. This person knew about an employee's private medical information because she worked with her healthcare plan in her role as HR, and shared that private information with another person for the sole purpose of mocking the employee. She was not fired. Full-on sexual harassment. Little backstory. I work in a private country club-style dining banquet event space. A drunk on-the-job manager pinned an hourly server against the wall during a nighttime wedding reception. She punched him in the ribs and tried pushing him off of her. We all saw it. We all reported to HR. Another manager physically removed him off of her. This was about 4 months ago and he's still in his position. She quit due to him telling everyone she'd lied about the entire situation. He was caught selling cocaine on work premises. Everyone was talking about how he's going to get fired. For a week. Then everybody seemed to have forgotten. Helps if the owner is your kid's godmother. Drill a hole clean through a condensate line and have the ceiling of a 3-car garage collapse. When the drywall gave. Me, I am that guy. AMA.